Hey everybody, this is Kyle with Attack of the Fanboy. I'm here with Will,
Hello.
and this is Splatoon, which I've spent a ton of time with. I've been looking forward to it ever since they showed it off at last year's E3. But Will, you aren't too familiar with Splatoon, right?
Not at all. I have not seen Splatoon at all. Other than, was that last E3 that it was big at?
It was last E3, yeah.
Okay. I've seen Splatoon from a distance. And
Okay.
a little bit of video here and there, but not much.
We're going to do a deep dive. We're going to look at everything. Starting with these guys, this is Callie Mary. You get it?
No.
Because there's squids and octopi.
Oh, how
Callie
cute,
Mary?
Nintendo.
Oh, man.
How cute.
There's a ton of those. I'll try to point them out. So
Okay.
when you start the game, it actually does an intro where it shows you the two maps. So the way that multiplayer maps work is you have two for every 4 hours. And we'll talk about that more later, because this is Inkopolis. This is the main hub of the game, where you can just tap stuff on the gamepad to go places, or you can walk around here. That's the amiibo section, and just kind of all of these doors lead to different modes of the game. So you can either just tap them or just walk around here, and everybody that's walking around are people that I saw or played against in actual Splatoon matches.
Is this real time? Are those people there for real or just...
No.
Okay.
No, it just pulls their characters. So this is, I walked into the Battle Dojo, which is where you can do local multiplayer. It's one-on-one for a local, which is not great, just that it's limited that way. I mentioned in the review that the split screen options are kind of small. There's no online split screen. But, you know, it's still fun. So here are the shops. You can actually customize your character quite a bit. These are the shoes. You can do a shirt. You can do a hat. And all of them have various effects. You see the thing in the middle is the effect that the gear has on your character in multiplayer.
And all that stuff is how, I mean, I don't know how much you've had a chance to take a look at it, but is it kind of throw the balance of the game off? Is there anything that's super overpowered?
Nothing's been overpowered just yet. People thought after the first global test fire, which was the kind of beta multiplayer, that the roller was going to be too powerful, which I'm actually looking at right now. But it's not been. Actually, once you really get into the game, it's pretty balanced. I haven't had a moment where someone killed me and I was like, man, that's because they had this power up. So it's not been too bad. I mean, obviously it's going to give you a slight edge, but nothing too crazy. The weapons are probably the biggest thing. You can, get killed by somebody with a much better weapon. I'm going through a couple here, but you can see the splatter shot. There's two different varieties, but the only difference is the sub weapon and the special weapon. These are just different kinds of bombs and shields, and just different. The special is probably the most powerful thing. So, like the bubbler, which I just switched to, that's a shield that makes you invulnerable. So that's pretty powerful, and that will swing 1-versus-1 matches or anything like that. But
is this
you can
sort of
always
class-based with these different special abilities? Is that super important for each player to use that, or
not the special? The special wouldn't be the class, but the main weapon would. Whether you're using the splatter shot, which is kind of what I'm using here. I'm going into single player here, but just to finish up multiplayer talk.
this is single player?
Yeah, this is a single player.
Okay.
So the splatter shot is kind of what I'm shooting here. The roller you'll see later is a big paint roller, and then the charge shot is sort of the sniper rifle. So we'll talk more about multiplayer because now I'm in single player. So that was the hub world. You kind of go around and find levels, and then you go in and you just kind of have to. It's sort of a platformer in a way. You can see like a lot of it is figuring out how to get to different areas. So
The only thing your squid can move on is the paint?
they can move wherever, but they're gonna, as a squid, they can only swim in your paint or your ink. Yeah, but you go really fast, you can go up walls and all that sort of stuff. So that's kind of the key, is to get your paint all over the level as much as you can. So
it is an interesting premise.
Yeah.
It's kind of confusing.
It takes a little bit to kind of wrap your head around the different mechanics, like figuring out that it is a third-person shooter, but not like other third-person shooters. You know, like, and there's different classes of enemies. Like you can see these guys roll around really fast, but if they get caught in your ink, then they just kind of get stuck.
All right. So when you're walking around as your human character,
yep.
Then you switch to a squid as you're jumping into the painted areas. Is that it? Or
yeah, you just hold the button.
Seeing here, I don't understand what I'm seeing here.
Gotcha. Yeah. So you're a kid, and when you press a button, you turn into a squid.
Okay.
And so you can do that whenever you want. And when you do that, you actually reload your ink. So you can fire a bunch of ink, and then you turn into a squid, and then you refill.
Is this game too complicated for, like, it seems more complicated than I would expect from a Nintendo game, honestly.
No, I don't think it's that complicated, but it does take a little getting used to.
Yeah.
It takes a little just kind of figuring out what's going on and how everything works. But once you do, it's pretty. So I'd say it's pretty traditionally Nintendo. Like Super Smash Brothers is really complicated at its core, but on the surface, you can just kind of run around. Like in this, you can just run around and shoot stuff and have a good time. That's about it. But if you want to get into the deeper strategies, this is the end of the level where you just. That was it. That was a single player level.
What was the point of that, though?
To get that guy.
Okay.
There's a story. You know, Nintendo games. They have a story, but it's just kind of like, oh, some bad guys took some stuff. Go get it. Mm-hmm. So there's a story, but it's not really integral. So this is me screwing up.
Multiplayer is the main attraction here.
Yeah, I would say so. Multiplayer has been the big draw for most people, but the single player surprisingly is pretty entertaining. Here's a boss battle. So there's 5 worlds with a boss in each. I think there was 5. I'd have to check again just to be sure, but pretty sure there's 5. And there's kind of puzzle solving mechanics throughout the single player, just figuring out how to get places.
These boss battles are only applicable to the single player portion? Okay.
Yep. So the boss battles are a little bit easy. You'll see I kind of take care of this guy pretty quickly. And it's the usual, find their weakness, hit them 3 times.
It's a good looking game.
It is a really good looking game. It runs 1080p 60 frames per second, start to finish. I think the main hub has a couple of frame rate dips, but that's really the area that it doesn't matter. But yeah, like the art style, the character designs, just the way that the paint mixes. By the end of a multiplayer match or a single player match, the whole level is covered in this paint, and it looks really cool.
And I guess we'll get to that when the multiplayer. You show me multiplayer, but you can have how many different types of paint on the screen? Is it 8?
It's 2. It's 2 teams.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, the teams are one color.
Okay. I don't know what this reminds me of, but it definitely has a Nintendo.
Yeah, it is a very Nintendo game. I said it a little bit of Portal with Mario Galaxy. And maybe Gears of War, because it's a third-person shooter. And you do use cover, but differently. I don't know. I've had some debates just trying to figure out like what is Splatoon like? What other games is it like?
It doesn't remind me of much.
Yeah, it's pretty unique.
Maybe the third-person shooting reminds you of a lot of different games, but the paint mechanic seems like something that no one's ever done before, right?
Yeah, I can't remember a game that's this focused on controlling the map. Like obviously in almost any shooter you want to control the map, but this like is literally control the map. And yeah, swimming through the ink. I can't think of anything that's used that before. So I'm just gonna do one more single player match, and then we'll get into the amiibo stuff, because it's a little bit like single player, and then we'll finish with multiplayer. Save the best for last is what we're doing here.
Okay. What are you getting into next?
On here?
Oh yeah, on the single player side. Another single player level?
Yeah, just a different level. This one has some really interesting enemies, so I wanted to show that.
So there's 5 main worlds. They all end with a boss battle, and then they've all got sub levels.
Yeah. There's about, I think there's about 5 levels per world. So these guys, you can't even fight these guys. They just kind of cover up your paint, and you got to get around them. And this is more of the like navigational puzzling, where at the end of there is a box, and I need to get a key to move on.
Okay.
So yeah,
this looks really cool.
I know it is really. I mean, it had a lot of promise just after that unveiling, but it turned out it lived up to a lot of the promise. And I mean, it being on the Wii U, like,
what are these? How hard do you think these puzzles are? I mean, as far as like age goes, are this age appropriate for? Can an adult play this and be challenged, or how long did it take you to figure that out the first time?
I would say that I was never stumped while playing the single player, but I was always active. Like figuring out, you know, and there's these things called hidden scrolls that you have to find in the map that play an important part in the game. So finding those is hard. I haven't even come close to finding all of those.
And what important role do they play?
We can't really say.
Okay.
So.
Gotcha.
Yep. You'll have to find out. But there's a lot of, you know, things. It's that Nintendo difficulty where it's not a hard game. A kid can play it and enjoy it, but if you want to get deeper, you can.
Gotcha. So it's like the coins in Mario games.
Exactly.
Okay.
There were a couple of times where the combat actually was a little tough. Various enemies got a little harder to take out. Not these are early missions, so it's not super difficult.
Is that from the design of the characters and their like different attack patterns and stuff, or was it just like frustration from controls, or how does a game control? It seems like
that's actually
okay.
Yeah, it's a good question. This is actually motion controlled.
Okay.
You can turn that off. You can just do a twin stick shooter, but the motion controls are fantastic. Like it's side to side. If I'm turning left and right, I'm using the stick. But this up and down or precision aiming, that's all twisting and moving the gamepad in my hands.
Okay. So what are you actually seeing on the gamepad screen then in that case? Like a reticule or crosshair?
It's just a map on the gamepad.
Okay.
Which plays a big part in the multiplayer, because that's the main goal is to control the map. But on here, you're not really looking at the gamepad, you're looking at the TV.
All right.
So this about wraps up this mission. So that's pretty much all of single player is doing missions like that. There's different enemies and different ways that the map looks and stuff. So it changes up quite a bit by the end of the single player.
Now, is this the only amiibo that they have for?
There are 3.
Is that what it looks like right there?
That is the Inkling boy.
Okay.
They're called Inklings, the characters. There's an Inkling girl, and there's a squid.
Okay.
But they each do different things. They unlock, you'll see a bunch of actually challenge missions. These are just remixes of the single player missions. So like this one is putting me into a single player mission, but I have to use the roller instead of the gun.
Okay.
So that's kind of his thing is that you use the roller. It's the same mission, so it doesn't feel like a lot of people have been worried that with Amiibo, you know, they'll cut content and put it behind the Amiibo. But here it's just kind of remixing the single player.
Now, how much replay value is there with all these different weapons? Obviously, this looks like it changes it up pretty significantly.
Yeah, it does.
This replaces your shooting thing,
exactly.
your gun.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And it really, like, these guys are pretty easy with the gun, but with the roller, you'll see a couple later, I think, on this mission, get pretty tough. But yeah, I don't know what the girl or the squid unlock, but it's other challenge missions kind of like this.
Okay.
I'm terrible with the roller. I never use it in the multiplayer, so it takes me a while to figure out how to use it here. You can see, though, it lays down paint like crazy. So you'll see a lot of people using the roller in the multiplayer. This took me a while to figure out how to take this guy out. Because they have these ones have shields, so you can't attack them from the front, but you distract them with the sub weapon, and then you can hit them.
Paint grenade?
Yeah, paint grenade.
Looks fun.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously this is only like reviewers, YouTubers, and stuff like that that's playing right now. You've been playing with people during the test events that they've been doing?
No, I missed the first one, and the second one had some technical issues. They were kind of...
That was this weekend?
Yeah, they were kind of overloaded.
Were people
so
pissed?
I didn't really get on. Yeah, people were a little angry, but it's also, that's what a test is for.
Yeah. This game's coming out this week, right?
Yeah, it's coming out Friday, May 29th.
That test failing probably got some people worried, I'm guessing.
Yeah, we'll have to see. The multiplayer's actually been, I mean, with probably only 20 people on at any one time, it's been working really well at least finding matches. So I have high hopes. And Nintendo's online structure has never been great, but they've pulled it together for Smash and Mario Kart, so
yeah,
they should be all right. Hopefully they learned from that test.
The few games that I've played online with them have actually been pretty good.
Yep.
They definitely know when to pull together. It's just that infrastructure is as well put together as, say, PSN or Xbox Live.
Exactly, yeah.
But
there's no voice chat, which is probably the biggest mistake that the game made.
Yeah. You're already noticing that? That's something going to be a problem? Is it going to limit the enjoyment of the game?
A little bit. It'll really depend once it gets out there and to more people, because, I mean, as it is, you can kind of see strategies form as matches go without any communication, but you can kind of tell that with communication it would go much better.
Yeah.
It's just, and you don't know what kind of weapons your other teammates are going to have until the match loads up, so you can end up with like 4 rollers, and then you have trouble with anyone with any range. That's the issues with Nintendo online multiplayer. They're going to be revamping it. They've promised, private parties and stuff like that are coming in the future, but to start off, it might be a little rough getting going.
So in this amiibo level, what do you get from completing these?
So when you finish the entire set, if you saw, there were rows of 3. When you finish a single row, you get an item of gear.
Okay.
I think when I finished this, I got a hat. So it wasn't anything overpowered. Like, the hat that I got was just kind of a normal hat. It looked really cool, but the powers on it were just kind of standard. So good to get.
Yeah, so they are walking a delicate line, or a tight line with the amiibo stuff, like what they can lock behind that, because they don't want to get the criticism
exactly. So
from the community for locking stuff away. Okay, so you're jumping into multiplayer here.
Yep.
Okay.
So you can see, like, it I don't know if it's attempting to keep the teams even with what kind of weapons, but that's what they do. So yeah, I always rush the middle. That's
Wait,
kind of
you don't know what you're gonna get?
No, you know what you have. You don't know what your teammates are gonna have.
Okay.
Unless you partied up with your friends.
Okay.
So the goal...
Oh, so you can die?
Yes.
Okay.
You can die and you can kill other players, but the goal isn't to kill other players. The goal is to cover the floor with your ink. So that was me. You can, on the map, on the gamepad, you tap one of your teammates and you jump to their location.
Okay.
So it's always about, like, finding these spots on the side, and getting up high and covering the map as best you can. But there's a lot of strategy. I mean, just in a few days that reviewers have had it, you see different strategies forming of how to take out enemies and how to cover the map.
Yeah, definitely. What happens when you get to... is it just a time-based thing? The end of the timer, whoever has the most of the map
Yep,
wins?
3 minutes. Every match.
Is there you got 100%, map, game's over? No?
Nah, you'd never have 100%.
Okay.
I couldn't imagine you had 100%.
Yeah.
But, you know, anything can happen.
So what are there powerful special moves that just drop giant paint bombs?
Yeah. There was one actually at the beginning of this match. You can see in the top right, I'm charging my special, which is the bubble shield.
Mm-hmm.
But other people have ink bazookas, kind of an ink bazooka. Then there's the ink rocket that you tap on the gamepad a location anywhere on the map, and it'll drop essentially a bomb that just kind of makes a circle of ink. That's a roller. You see, rollers can be a little annoying. They can. So I get why people thought that they were overpowered, but if you stay back, you kind of...
It's just like a melee weapon against you, though, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Seems like it's probably pretty powerful.
It is pretty powerful. If they get in close, you can't do anything, but as long as you keep a distance, you're okay.
Now, as fun as this looks, I mean, just looking at it, it's colorful, it's bright, it's pretty. Good-looking game. Have you gotten tired of this mechanic? I mean, how many are there? Different game modes?
There's 2 game modes.
Okay.
There's Turf War, which I'm playing here, and Splat Zone, which I didn't get any video of because that's only in ranked at the moment. Mm-hmm. And ranked, you have to get to level 10, which I eventually did, but everyone in ranked has to be level 10, so there's not very many people available in ranked games at the moment. So that Splat Zone is more of a king of the hill, so it'll designate areas of the map, and you have to control those areas only. It's not the whole map. So that changes it a little bit. It's all about map control. That's it. Right. So I haven't gotten tired of it, and I've put a good number of hours into it actually. I could see some people, but I think it sort of has more of a...
Now, is there some... I don't know if it's the video we're looking at, or if it's the online infrastructure in general, but is there some delay when...
There was on this match.
Okay.
Usually not. I think this match did have a little bit of a delay there at the beginning.
When you're shooting it out, it doesn't cover right away, because that seems like it's probably a nightmare for them to get right if there's latency.
I mean, they're actually, it's actually firing little things of paint, so it's got to fly through the air and hit the ground. It's not like a bullet. It's slow. You can see the ink flying out of the front. This is my favorite spot up here on this map. You just get up here and you can just cover the whole thing.
You need a big launcher of some sort.
Yep, and there's like charge shot is more like a sniper rifle. It fires paint like in a straight line across the map, so that's pretty good if you can get up there. But I've not been very good. That was really close to getting hit by that roller. I actually don't know how I survived that, but
I'd play this. I don't know how long I could play this for, but it seems pretty cool.
It's very addictive. I had the same worry. I was kind of wondering if just this mechanic would live up, but it really has so far. And it's tense because, like, right now, looking at that, I don't know who's winning.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea.
And there's no way to tell that.
No, you can look at the map on your gamepad and kind of get a sense, but there's no scoreboard. There's nothing saying, blue team is winning right
just
now.
Go out there, paint some stuff. Hopefully, at the end, you win.
Yep.
Looks like you're losing.
Yeah, it does. But we'll see. We got a minute left. There's been a lot of come from behind victories on both sides for my team and for other teams. I think one of the videos I posted, I thought that we had it. Like, we rushed and we had the other team locked down to their base, and we were just coding the map in ours. And then by the end, we barely won. So it's pretty tense.
All it takes is one person to sneak out and start coating the other side of the map.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a very interesting mechanic. It just kind of seems fresh. A fresh take on control or territories, domination.
Yeah, I can see it working for new players or old, like people who have maybe grown tired of standard shooter mechanics might find this interesting, and then people who maybe haven't gotten into shooters, this is, if you're firing, you don't have to get into the combat. If you're firing on the map, you're helping your team. So it's a little bit more laid back that way.
Yeah. And what is this? Is this the same turf war?
Yep, just on a different map. This is the third map that I'm showing here, and there's 5 total. And something I was talking about earlier, the maps go in a rotation. So online, in regular, unranked, and in ranked, you can play 2 different maps, and it selects them randomly. So that isn't great. You kind of get stuck on the same map over and over sometimes. It swaps them out every 4 hours.
Okay.
If that makes any sense. It's kind of weird.
Sounds weird.
Yeah.
Why do they do that?
Because because Nintendo.
Okay.
I don't know.
What was that person shooting? That thing looked like it was dropping a lot of paint.
I don't remember.
Looked like a giant grenade.
Yeah, they threw their secondary. There's a paint grenade, and then there's essentially like a paint water balloon. There's a bunch of different subs. This was just my best.
Did you kind of stick to the shooting?
Yeah. I tried the charge shot a couple of times. Yeah, it's just not my thing. So this was really my best weapon. And it seems to be everyone's. I've seen a lot of surveys of players who went into the beta, and the splatter shot seems to be most people's favorite. Because it's the all-around weapon.
Yeah.
You can get up into those corners. Once you learn how to arc your shots, it helps a lot.
Once they get a lot of people in on this, people will figure out exactly what's the best.
Yeah.
What's the best gun? What's the thing that gives you the biggest advantage?
Yeah.
And then people will use that until Nintendo fixes it or doesn't.
Pretty much.
Just like every other multiplayer game.
Yep. That was that bomb I was telling you about.
Okay. Yeah, this is wild.
Yeah, and you can hide in the ink, so other players have a real tough time seeing you. So there's a lot of stealth in that. You can kind of see when I dive under. It's tough to tell that I'm there. So you can hide there. There's a lot of strategy to it once you get into the mechanics. It helps to cut off player movement if they dive into the ink. If you can draw a line around them in your ink, they can't swim through it, so you kind of know where they are.
Okay.
Just little stuff like that you start picking up on.
High-level Splatoon play.
That's right.
You could be the champion of the world. Go to your local whatever. Where are they doing it? Best Buy or whatever. The Nintendo World Championship. Is this part of it?
No, I don't think Splatoon's part of it.
Really?
Yeah. But that's about it. That was 3 matches. So what do you think?
I think it looks pretty cool.
Yep.
I don't know. You seem to be pretty high on it. I guess our review will be out later this week.
Yeah, the review should hit at the same time, so we can actually talk about it. It was a 4.5 out of 5. So a couple of things held it back, but I mean the core of this game is really great. So yeah, that was Splatoon. Any final thoughts? Anything else?
Nope.
Y'all good?
I'm all good. That was good to finally see it. I didn't understand the words that were coming out of your mouth before as to what Splatoon is, but now I see with my own two eyes that it's pretty cool.
That's good.